GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, I'm CJ Waterhouse. We'll break down the police removal of that high-powered surveillance camera and hear why workers at Parc Jean-Drapeau are threatening a strike over wages. Later, the new Churchill Falls deal boosts Quebec power by 40%. Jeff, what do you make of that?
One Love homage at Bob Marley and the Wailers performs Saturday night at Theatre St. Denis. Doors open 7:30. Show begins 8 o'clock. Tickets start at $25.
Opening the evening, local reggae group Roots Reggae will play a 30-minute set, and the concert runs approximately 90 minutes, with seated capacity of 825.
Public transit routes 55 and 97 serve Theatre St. Denis directly, and wheelchair-accessible entrances are available, while nearby cafes offer pre-show refreshments until the performance starts.
Lots to get to. Let's begin our conversation and dive into today's news as we explore the stories ahead. Here are our top stories.
Montreal police have removed a high-powered surveillance camera after a Radio Canada investigation highlighted its capabilities. The move follows public concern over the device's reach. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Police crews rolled in early this morning to dismantle a high-powered surveillance camera perched on a downtown utility pole. The camera had been mounted near St. Laurent Boulevard, a busy corridor that sees heavy foot traffic. The unit, installed by the Montreal police last year, was capable of zooming in on distant subjects and recording in low-light conditions, features that raised questions after a Radio Canada investigation aired yesterday. Officers worked for about 2 hours, disconnecting power and hauling the equipment to a police garage. A spokesperson said the removal follows the broadcaster's report and that the device will be evaluated for compliance with provincial privacy rules. No arrests were made and the site remains under police oversight. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
230 employees at Parc Jean-Drapeau say they will walk out if the city does not resolve wage talks, noting they have not received a raise since 2023. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
230 staff members at Parc Jean-Drapeau have told city officials they will walk out if their wage talks stall. The employees, who have not seen a salary increase since 2023, are pressing for higher pay as negotiations continue. Union representatives said the deadline for a new agreement is approaching, and a strike could disrupt park services, including the summer concerts and ferry operations. City managers have acknowledged the dispute but have not offered a concrete raise. Negotiations have been ongoing for several weeks, with both sides seeking a compromise. The park remains open for visitors today while both sides work toward a resolution. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Jean-Drapeau.
Construction has begun on the Port of Montreal's new container terminal in Contrecoeur, a project slated to boost capacity and become operational by 2030. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Construction has kicked off on the Port of Montreal's expansion at the Contrecoeur site, where crews are laying foundations for a new container terminal. The project, slated to be operational by the year 2030, will add significant handling capacity to the port's network. Work includes dredging, building deep water berths, and installing advanced loading equipment. The development is part of a broader strategy to boost the region's freight throughput and keep the port competitive on the global stage. Officials say the terminal will accommodate larger vessels and streamline cargo movements, positioning the Port of Montreal for continued growth. The $2 billion investment should create thousands of jobs and includes eco-friendly measures to protect the shoreline. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Contrecoeur.
2 men were injured after a knife fight erupted in Montreal's St. Michel neighborhood during the early hours of Friday night. Police are investigating the altercation. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Police responded to a disturbance in the St. Michel neighborhood just after midnight on Friday, finding 2 men with knife wounds. Ambulances arrived within minutes, transporting both victims to a nearby hospital for treatment. Witnesses said the altercation began as a heated argument that escalated when one participant produced a blade. Officers secured the scene, collected evidence, and are reviewing surveillance footage to identify the suspect. No arrests have been announced yet, and detectives are asking anyone with information to come forward. The incident adds to a series of late-night confrontations reported in the area over the past weeks. Neighborhood residents said they hope increased patrols will deter further violence and restore a sense of safety. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, St. Mitchell.
Research from Sherbrooke and Quebec coroner reports shows deaths of homeless women in Quebec rose by 200% from 2020 to 2024, and over one-third occurred in hidden homelessness. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Between 2020 and 2024, a study from the University of Sherbrooke, using coroner data, found the death toll among homeless women in Quebec more than tripled, climbing over 200%. In the same period, the researchers noted that more than a third of all homeless deaths occurred while the individuals were living in hidden homelessness, situations where people lack a fixed address but remain out of sight, such as couch surfing or staying in temporary shelters. The rise points to a widening mortality crisis among people experiencing homelessness across the province, with women bearing the brunt of the increase. The findings come as officials grapple with how to address both visible and hidden homelessness. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Montreal.
The new Churchill Falls deal will lift Quebec power by 40%, reshaping our energy future, and we will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador have signed a new agreement to raise power from the Churchill Falls hydro plant by 40%, bolstering Quebec's electricity supply. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Under a fresh inter-provincial pact signed today, Quebec will receive an extra 40% of the power generated at the Churchill Falls hydroelectric plant in Labrador. The agreement, struck between the governments of Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador, lifts the volume of electricity flowing southward from the decades-old facility, which already supplies the neighboring province alongside its own grid. Officials say the boost is aimed at reinforcing Quebec's growing demand for clean energy. The deal builds on a long-standing arrangement that has seen Churchill Falls export power beyond its home province, but this is the first time the increase reaches the scale being announced. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Churchill Falls.
The REM has begun automatic low-speed test runs on the future airport branch, marking a key step toward completing the Montreal-Trudeau line by the end of 2027. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Automatic low-speed test trains are now rolling along the future REM line that will serve Montreal-Trudeau Airport. The trial runs began this week, the week of August 13, 2026, and are being conducted on the newly laid tracks that will link the city's rapid transit network to the airport. Engineers are monitoring performance as the system integrates with existing REM corridors that stretch across Greater Montreal. The test phase is a step toward completing the airport segment, which officials aim to finish by the end of 2027. Once operational, the branch will provide a direct, driver-less connection between downtown and the terminal, reducing travel time for passengers. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Dorval.
Montreal police have arrested a 17-year-old suspect in connection with a downtown stabbing that left a 16-year-old boy injured. The investigation continues as authorities gather evidence. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Police say a 17-year-old male was taken into custody early Thursday after detectives linked him to a stabbing that left a 16-year-old boy injured in the downtown core. Officers responded to a call around noon near St. Catherine Street, where witnesses reported hearing a gun-like pop and seeing the victim clutch his side. Emergency services rushed the teenager to a nearby hospital, where he remains under observation. Investigators say the suspect was identified through surveillance footage and was apprehended a short distance from the scene. No further arrests have been made, and police are continuing to gather evidence and interview witnesses. The The case remains open as they piece together the events leading up to the attack. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, downtown Montreal.
College de Maisonneuve students can spend a symbolic 25 cents for a brief listening session with a senior volunteer, fostering intergenerational dialogue on campus. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Inside the bustling student lounge of College de Maisonneuve, a modest table holds a single microphone and a small tin of change. Today, a local senior volunteer sits across from a group of curious undergraduates, offering a few minutes of conversation for a symbolic 25 cents. The students, many juggling coursework and part-time jobs, step up one by one, listening to stories of a bygone era while sharing their own experiences. The modest fee is collected in a brass coin box, more a token of respect than a payment. Organizers say the aim is simply to create a space where generations can meet, talk, and learn from each other, fostering a brief but genuine connection across age lines. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Maisonneuve.
Drivers will lose street parking as Montreal prepares for the World Cycling Championships, with spaces removed at staggered times throughout the city starting Thursday afternoon. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Parking spots are disappearing across Montreal as the city readies its streets for the upcoming World Cycling Championships. Starting this Thursday afternoon, officials will begin clearing curbside spaces on a rolling schedule, with sections of downtown, the Plateau and the Old Port slated for temporary suspension. Drivers will see orange cones and electronic signs indicating when a block is closed, and the restrictions will lift once the race routes are cleared. The city says the changes are limited to the weeks surrounding the event and will return to normal afterward. Motorists are advised to check local signage and plan alternate spots today to avoid fines. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Montreal.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what weather's bringing to your afternoon. A fast western jet streams a dry high-pressure ridge over Montreal, keeping clouds at bay this afternoon. The all-time high for August 14th in Montreal sits at 30.1 degrees Celsius, recorded in 2024 during a lingering heat wave that pushed the city into the upper 30s. The coldest reading is 12 degrees, set in 2014 when an Arctic surge slipped southward, blanketing the region with freezing air. By contrast, today's climatological normals hover around 24 degrees for the high and 13 for the low. That gap shows we are running a few degrees below the historical peak, but comfortably above the record low. The live radar canvas is clear across southern Quebec, with no echo from the St. Lawrence Basin. A steady high-pressure ridge sits over the province, while the swift western jet at 580 kilometers per hour aloft slices the atmosphere, suppressing ascent. With the ridge holding and the jet steering any moisture north, precipitation will stay absent through the afternoon and evening. That dry picture hands us directly into today's outlook. The city sits at 22 degrees under a mostly clear sky, humidity 65%, and a gentle northwest breeze of 7 kilometers per hour. A near-average high-pressure system dominates, holding steady and refusing to budge, while a powerful western jet stream at 580 kilometers per hour races overhead, reinforcing the ridge and keeping air masses stable. With the ridge in place, temperatures will climb to 24 by mid-afternoon before easing back to 22 this evening. UV index registers 5, and the strongest gusts reach 15 kilometers per hour from the northwest. No weather alerts are active. With the atmosphere locked in, we now turn to the 5-day outlook. Looking ahead, Saturday brings a high of 22 and a low of 13 under a blanket of overcast clouds, keeping the sun hidden. Sunday climbs to a high of 25 with a low of 15, but a 60% chance of rain will break through the clouds in the afternoon. Monday stays warm at 25, low 18, and remains overcast without measurable rain. Tuesday offers a break, with mainly clear skies, a high of 25 and a low of 18, allowing sunshine to dominate. Wednesday returns to a cooler, overcast pattern, high 26, low 19, and a 45% rain probability in the late afternoon. The stretch toggles between dry spells and midweek showers, setting up a variable weekend. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Traffic heating up with the bike worlds. Tonight's lineup features Tramp of the Century and Timofey Runso's ranking boost, Stay tuned, we will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
The biggest story this morning is that there are none. All the main routes are moving freely. Autoroute 15 is clear from the Turcotte interchange to the South Shore, and Autoroute 5 shows no slowdown through the Descurry corridor. Boulevard St. Laurent and Rue Sherbrooke are running at normal speed, with travel times matching posted estimates. The Ville Marie Tunnel remains open and unimpeded, and the bridge over the St. Lawrence sees no congestion. On the east side, the Villeray-St. Michel area reports smooth flow, and the commuter belt around the Laurentians is likewise quiet. Transit is on schedule, with the Green Line and Orange Line running on time and no reported delays on the commuter rail. Looking ahead, the afternoon rush typically builds after 1 o'clock, especially around the Descurry and the southern exit of Autoroute 15. Drivers should anticipate a gradual increase in volume near the highway on ramps and the downtown core as the day progresses.
Barbara Streisand takes the stage at the Cabaret du Casino in Montreal tonight with her Songbird concert, a rare chance to hear the legendary vocalist live in an intimate setting. Music lovers will also want to catch Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon at Le Dome in Brossard, a full album performance that promises the immersive sound and visual spectacle the band is known for. Over in the Old Port, the Orientalese Festival continues through today, offering free food, dance and art from Eastern and Middle Eastern cultures, perfect for a spontaneous cultural bite between meetings. And if you step outside this evening, the partial solar eclipse and Perseid meteor shower are visible across the city, a celestial show that turns the night sky into a fireworks display you won't want to miss. Those 4 experiences make Friday in Montreal anything but ordinary. And now here's Jason with sports. Draft moves, off-season honors, and roster depth shape the Habs' summer outlook. The Canadiens listed Russian winger Timofey Runso at 21 in their under-25 prospect list, a direct result of a bold trade-up 4 spots in the second round of the 2026 draft. The move signals Montreal's shift toward targeting specific skill sets over high-profile steals, adding a promising two-way forward to the pipeline. Juraj Slavkovsky earned the first-ever honorary citizenship of Budimir Village and captured his 4th Slovak Hockey Player of the Year award. Those accolades boost his international profile and underline Montreal's reliance on his scoring punch, while the Habs head into camp with a clear offensive cornerstone. The Canadiens added forward Sasha Pastujov on a 1-year, 2-way deal after acquiring him from the Anaheim Ducks. The contract gives Montreal flexible depth at center, allowing him to shuttle between the NHL roster and the AHL affiliate, a useful option as the team finalizes its forward group for the upcoming season. Stay tuned as training camp shapes the Habs' quest for playoff redemption. Thanks, Jason. Good food based on St. Laurent has been a staple for Montrealers looking for convenient, chef-crafted meals and grocery deliveries. The company, which supplies meal kits and online groceries, just filed for creditor protection as it works to restructure its finances and explore a sale. That step is meant to keep the kitchens humming and protect roughly 230 jobs spread across Montreal, Calgary, and Mississauga. For the St. Laurent neighborhood, good food means more than meals. It supports local suppliers, fuels busy families, and adds a modern culinary pulse to the street. Montreal's food scene thrives on innovators like Good Food, and its resilience reflects the city's own determination to reinvent itself. Its future will shape the way Montrealians shop and dine for years to come. Up next, we'll examine Quebec's pilot uniform program at Roberval Prison and why the province may stay non-bound to ACUM. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Mayor Valerie Plante is pressing council members to green-light a $150 million affordable housing plan, with a major decisive vote slated for tomorrow at City Hall. The proposal could reshape rent prices significantly across the Ville-Marie borough and beyond. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, CJ Waterhouse. I'm standing in the vaulted council chamber of Montreal City Hall, the stone walls echoing with the shuffle of folders and the low murmur of councilors gathering around polished oak tables. Sunlight streams through the tall arched windows onto the brass nameplates, casting a warm glow over Mayor Valerie Plante as she rehearses her remarks on the new affordable housing plan. Behind her, a banner reads $150 million for homes, and a stack of blueprints lies open, showing mixed-income units sprouting across the boroughs. The air smells faintly of coffee and polished wood, while a quiet protest sign rests near the entrance, reminding everyone that families are waiting for roofs over their heads. Tomorrow, August 14, 2026, the council will cast its vote, a decision that could reshape neighborhoods and determine whether Montreal can meet the growing demand for affordable homes. This vote is more than a budget line, it's a chance to keep the city's doors open for its most vulnerable residents. Carl Dumont, virtually at Montreal City Hall. Welcome back. Quebec has launched a 12-month pilot at the Roberval Detention Center requiring inmates to wear uniforms in an effort to curb contraband smuggling. Remy Gaudreau has the full story.
Officials at the Roberval Detention Center are rolling out a 12-month pilot that will see every inmate outfitted in a standard uniform. Prison administrators say the move is aimed at cutting the flow of contraband by eliminating the ability to hide items in personal clothing. The Quebec government approved the program after months of reviewing smuggling trends across the province's facilities. Under the new rules, uniforms will be issued on intake and must be worn at all times, with staff conducting regular checks to ensure compliance. Prisoners who fail to wear the prescribed attire could face disciplinary action. The pilot will be monitored for its impact on security and will inform future policy decisions across Quebec's correctional network. Remy Gaudreau, GMNA News, Roberval.
Quebec says it may remain non-bound to the Canada-U.S. Mexico Trade Pact as negotiations between Ottawa and Washington continue, with Ministers Skeet and Freichette voicing concern over the agreement's direction. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
On the 13th of August, 2026, Quebec officials are signaling they could remain outside the Canada-U.S. Mexico Trade Pact as renegotiations continue in Ottawa. Minister Skeet told reporters the province is reserving the right to declare itself non-bound to the agreement, citing concerns about the direction of the current talks between Ottawa and Washington. Minister Freichette echoed that stance, warning that any outcome that diverges from Quebec's economic interests would prompt a separate path. The move comes as the United States and Canada work on a new version of ACUM, and Quebec is watching closely to ensure its industries aren't disadvantaged. Officials said the decision will be revisited once the federal negotiations reach a clearer conclusion. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Quebec.
Thanks for joining us, Montreal. I'm CJ Waterhouse. Today's look at the new Churchill Falls deal shows how Quebec's power landscape is shifting, and I appreciate you staying informed. We'll be back tomorrow with more of the stories that matter to our city. See you then.